Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 23 in the book of 1 John. We're in chapter 5, almost near the end. We're going to do a single verse today, verse 18. Today's title is Held While Holding Fast. So being held by God while we hold fast. Let me read the verse. We know that everyone who has been born of God does not keep on sinning, but he who was born of God protects him, and the evil one does not touch him. But he who was born of God protects him. Also translated as being held by him, holds, and the evil one does not touch him. All right, so the first part of the verse talks about everyone who has been born of God does not keep on sinning. That's a big theme, really a summarizing sentence of the whole book of 1 John. It means not keeping on sinning, that the practices of believers should reflect externally what's going on internally. And this internal reality of being governed, of tongue and of heart and of wallet and of zipper and of hands, governed by this relationship of God, that the habits of believers must reflect who we serve. So first we agree with God as to his definitions of sin and then not practice it. And so it's this practicing the moral will of God and not making a habit of that which is not in the moral will of God. This should mark us as believers and prove us as followers. So continuance in that process is the test of spiritual reality. The part of this verse that I really wanted to get to was the second part of the verse, which is this idea of being protected or held by God. So 18, the second half of 18 says, but he who was born of God protects him. He who was born of God, Jesus, protects him, and the evil one does not touch him. So everyone who is born of God is protected by he who was born of God. That is, he who was born in Bethlehem protects those who are born again. So we get continual help to help continue on our way. And we are kept safe. We are guarded. The Greek word means to be held. So we are observed by God while we observe his ways. But it's more than just being seen kind of from a distance in a hands-off sort of a way. We are kept by him while we are keeping his way. So specifically, we're guarded from evil. And here we find out that it's an evil that wants to touch us. It sort of wants to grab us. So we are held during bad circumstances and while in difficulty, while forbearing difficult things or suffering. So it reminds me of Hebrews chapter 11. So chapter 11 talks about those who kind of got the victory in a sense, but only in a promised way. So it talks about those who suffer, those who were in chains, those who were stoned. Mentions a person who was sawn in two, and killed with the sword. And then it summarizes these people in Hebrews 11:39. All these, though commended for their faith, did not receive what was promised. So they didn't know, quote unquote, victory. But what did they know? They didn't know the end of the circumstances, but they did know being held all the way through their circumstances. And that leads us to the big soundbite of today, is that we are held while holding fast. That is, we hold on to him while he holds us, while all hell breaks loose. So we hold his promises while he holds us when the high tide comes, when the high waters come. So today is about holding his promises while difficulty comes. Natalie Grant sang a song about 15 years ago. It was a hit. It was written by Krista Wells, and it's called Held, H-E-L-D. And the words in the song, this is what it means to be held. And the crazy thing about it is it was a hit song, even though it talked about pain and grief and deep trial. One of the lines there is, the promise was, When everything fell, we'd be held. When everything turned bad, we were held. And for believers, this is about God's special presence in pain and difficulties, which is what this verse is about. So for believers, God is near, guarding and holding when tempted and when in trial. And it's about choosing how to carry loss after being carried through loss. So sometimes there's 3 times about this that I want to talk about. Sometimes we're held from suffering, that we are prevented from it. We don't even see it. That's part of the package about being a Christian. So that's awesome. The second thing is we're held forbearing difficulty. So that is during difficulty. So sometimes God holds us during the difficult times. And that's kind of what the song talked about. And then thirdly is sometimes we're held for suffering. John Piper talked about the Lord being sovereign during his cancer. He said, "Don't waste your cancer, and be a shining example." And in Esther, it reminds me of the passage in 4:14. For if you keep silent at this time, at this critical time of Israel's history, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And so that's the call today, is maybe it's for such a time as this that the Lord has been holding us all along. So the big question today is, for what has the Lord been holding you for you to hold on through? So this is a family letter, and the Lord is, maybe you hear this and say, well, the Lord's not protecting me at all. Well, the charge for you is to get in the family and get in his church. But for the rest of us who are in the church, Lord, may we know this holding and protection and the reality of being held. Thank you for keeping us from trouble sometimes, and thank you for holding us during our difficult times. And Lord, even prepare us for a time where we are to be an example of holding on during our suffering. Help us with that, maybe future time. So Lord, thank you for holding us. Thanks for listening.